start with somebody like me or?
Oh, we lost them. All right, so we got a couple things. The first one was attacking or things to do from 50-50 and what is 50-50. I wouldn't say it's a guard per se because we're both in the same position. So 50-50 is when we're both sitting here and our legs are intertwined like that, right? So if I was going for a leg lock here, it might look like I have her, but if she goes this way, she has me, right? We're pretty much in the same position here, okay? So the first thing that I do when I find myself in 50-50 is I lean this way, right? And I cover this heel. The heel that's closest to her, she can attack that, right? So what I want to do is I want to cover that heel, basically putting pressure to it. I'd rather my heel is facing her hip and ribs, right? And so now you can see that hers is here exposed. So I'm in the better position here. I have to keep this position strong. It's easy to lose it, and then easy for her to keep her position strong. And so you want to make sure that you're dominating here in this position. So the first thing I do is I make sure my feet are safe. I don't want to get attacked. It happens really quick. The other thing I can do is I can lace my foot over, and I usually will extend both legs when that happens. So it's like, I guess if you're doing lockdown and you lock your legs out, it's the same type of position. She can't really hurt this foot. Try to foot lock that one. I mean, if I let her, it could hurt, but this is going to be a tense situation. I'm going to have my legs locked. They're going to be flexed, right? I'm not relaxed. If I relaxed, yeah, she could probably hurt it. I'm leaning this way. And so this inside leg, one closest to her, is protected, right? If she was able to get a bite on that bottom heel somehow and try to heel hook inside foot, it's not going to work because it's reinforced with this other leg. So that's what I like to do. I've seen other stuff that work, other stuff people. Those are the two things that I'll usually do. If I'm not too concerned about getting locked up, I'll just put my foot over the heel, and if I feel like they're going to be kind of aggressive, I'll keep it there, right under her armpit, but crossed. Okay. So once we got there and we know we're safe, now I can start working on getting her leg, right? One of the things I like to do here is, see, she's crossing like me. What I'll do is I'll wedge my forearm here in front of this foot, and then I'm going to scoot my butt away and just watch her locks of her legs open. From there, I can attack the heel hook. It's hard to see on that side. No, it's fine. Because then I'll lose all the other stuff. And I can attack right here. Or I can attack straight ankle locks too. Right? Those. From here, there's other stuff too, but it's not lower percentage. So I think Alex, you mentioned an armbar from 50-50 before. You're like, what the heck is that even? So basically what happens is if she's using her hands to try to stop me from getting grips and stuff like that, use this hand, and this hand comes up, see how I can get a good hold of it? So nothing really stopping me from getting that grip now. So what I'll do is I'll pivot my body so my knees on the mat. It's more like,
Oh, wow.
funny. And from here, I can throw my leg over the head, I can flip up, and I can get an arm bar, even though she's in a 50-50. Right? Over here, throw the leg over, and I get an arm bar.
My arm is this.
That's not breaking anything. That's just muscle pain.
Okay.
That means that your muscle's tight or whatever, because my tendons are going in your thigh.
Yeah,
that's not breaking.
exactly.
I'm not gonna break your femur.
Oh man.
It's super hard to break.
Yeah.
So that's you're tapping just for pain.
Yeah,
That's not a break.
I know.
So, or you get out of there, right? So let's say you're not comfortable with the 50-50. You want to get out. So I prefer to attack because you can win the fight, number one. And number two, I find it riskier to try to get away than it is to just finish the fight. So there's two things you can do from here. Right now, my foot's on this side of her. I want to get it to the other side. So I open and swing it over. I put my hand down. This hand is just like standing in base. Rather than putting it out, I put it on her knee. And now I drag my foot in base. So I can get out there. Of course, you try to pass or whatever you want to do there. So we're here. I'm hiding my foot. Put my hand down. Pass it to the other side. Also, look, I'm escaping my knee right away. I want my knee out of the hip line. I don't want it inside her hip line. Post, drag. From here, I can try to pass. And it probably won't be that easy, but that's what I'm going to go for. So from here, my other option is to get up. So it sounds easy, but it's not easy. So this is going to come under. I need all my weight on this foot. If the foot's in the air, she can attack it. I need all my weight on this foot. So right now I'm protecting. I remember to lean this way, put my hand down, drag my leg in base. Once I do that, I can transition my weight here and put it on my foot. They're going to try to knock you back. They're going to try to use their 50-50 here to keep knocking you down. So you're going to have to lean forward. I have my chest forward, even with her chest, but off on the side, right? I'm going to start to stand up, keeping weight on this foot that's close to her. Now I got to get rid of the lock. What I do is I open up, I hip in. If it's locked, I just unlock it. If it's just draped, this hip will knock loose. All right, be more active with that. So there, and I can use my hand to step over. Okay, here knee on belly, side control. I tap the back if they roll away. Right, those are your options. So that one again. I'm intertwined, protecting my foot. Lean this way. I'm planning to stand up, so I drag this foot underneath. Put weight on your foot. Okay. Now, use your hands if you need to. Step up, keeping the weight here. I need to release this, so I posture, unlock it, use my hand to step over. Now I can go knee on belly. So those are the more common things you'll see me do with 50-50. The attack I like is the heel hook. If they go to the other side, and heel hook that, straight ankle locks, toe holds even. There's a lot of leg lock stuff. For now, you want to understand the position, how to stay safe, right? How to not get tapped, and then start exploring like what your options are for attacks. So remember, defense first, defense position, right? If your position's good, your defense is good, then you can start to attack. By defending, you start to learn the attacks at the same time. Because the higher belts, when they're trying to do the moves to you, you're gonna like start to recognize it because you're defending good enough that you can slow it down and say, okay, they tried this, they tried that, they tried that. So now when it's my turn, when I'm on top, then I get to try those things, right?
Right. Now, can you get to knee on belly at that halfway point, or is that lock on your hip stopping you?
Yeah, that will knock me back down.
That will. Okay.
I'm here. I get up, and
right.
The knee on belly. This is blocking me the whole time. This.
It is. Okay.
Leg right here. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's the mistake people make. They get here, and then they start trying to pass. How are you going to pass? You can't pass with that there. Right?
Right.
You have to unlock this. Now I can pass. If I can step over that.
Right. Okay.
You want to do Muay? Okay.
Yeah, because
More
if you
religion.
just flop, then it doesn't look right.
Uh,
So this is a mix of not just
Laying.
flopping and not defending, but being right there in the middle. So then our other one was, remind me, was it the back escaping or was it something else?
Are you talking to me, Coach?
No, it's not control Brian getting the brief,
Oh.
back, taking the
Yeah. So,
back and
yeah. So talking about what we did yesterday and something similar was happening. So the idea is when you get to the side control, you're not there yet. When you get to the side control, I'm getting here and driving them, whether they gift wrap or not, you're giving your back. They can go bow and arrow chokes, right? All kinds of
Right.
stuff. Take your back, rear naked choke. There's a much stuff they can do. So the I don't even remember which video it was. We've done so many, but remember when I talked about not giving up the past, but once you know that the past is happening, that you
Right.
already need to be in position, right?
that's great.
So if I'm already going to side control, give me the guard. So here she's fighting, here she's fighting. See, she started to shrimp. She already knew I was about to drop down. She's already facing me. How am I going to get behind or force her to give her back? I don't know. I'm going to have to spin to the other side, but it's so far away, right? So again, so initially understanding that if I drop right here, she's in trouble. So look, she already started moving sideways. She's framing and she's shrimping. There's no way I'm going to the back take here, right? I could try to spin, but I mean, if I start going here, it's just too far, you know, too far away. So ahead of time, understanding like I just got my guard passed, right? But if she starts shrimping too early, if she starts framing too early, like what's the point? Like, so if I'm here and I go like this, and you already turned sideways, yeah. So now I'm here. Now I'm behind her, right? Because just because I stepped here, you don't say, "Oh no, I got past over your shoulder like you're shrimping." Frame. You're not gonna do that. Look, boom, so easy, right? So if I just, so now all I've got to do, if I know you're like that, I just step here and go over here, right? React like bad. Like just give me the side control. And then they go here, right? So
How can you react back?
that's the extreme. You're giving up the pass way too early, right?
Right.
Sure, it was good. It was sideways. She had a frame, right? Sideways, she has a frame. Framing. She's ready. If I jump on side control here, she'll probably replace the guard. But why would she do that? Because then all I got to do is go here behind her, right? So can't be too early, but also can't be too late. Be really slow. Slow. Right? Do it again. Slow. See? It's way too late. I'm going to do whatever I want. So you have to know where the line is, right? The line is between me. Passing the knee is not enough. If I get here, her hip, I haven't passed her hip yet. The hip is what I want to pass. The knee, she could invert, like Arsenio likes to do, right? She could go back. She could do a hip escape, right? She could just hip out and face me, right? Now I'm not past yet. I'm back. But if I can pass her hip, if I can go here, now what? Right? Try to replace. She can't replace. So that's when she needs to turn sideways. Come back up. So as soon as I pass her hip, she needs to be turning sideways and shrimping, right? I can't get her back here. I'd have to like cartwheel over her, right? And you can do stuff like that. That's fine. That's something you could try. But it's going to be very difficult for me to get behind her if she's already defending the moment I pass. That's the line, I would say, is the hip, right? Just like when we get to side control, that's why we block the hip. Put my knee in the hip so I don't end up back in the guard. Put my hand in the hip so I don't end up back in the guard. Or north-south, I hold the hips so they don't invert, right? So they can't shrimp. So the hips, that's the line. So that's the first thing we need to understand in this, the trouble that you're having is preparing, having a good bottom side control, right? It's just another position that we need to understand. So it's too late once I get here. You're flattened out. Now I'm the boss, right? But if you're sideways, I haven't established any control yet, right? So sure, I'm past the hips, but you're already defending. I don't have a good side control. She has a good bottom side control, right? So that's where the problem starts. Once you've made the mistake of not doing that, that's where we can try things, but they're not going to be optimal. So that's what this meme or whatever, people are like, oh, just don't get in it, right? That's basically what that means. Don't get in it means recognize the line. They cross the line. You're in a good bottom side control now. You're defending, right? You're not in it, meaning my control, right? But once I'm here, if I'm pushing this tricep, she can't face me. She can't face me, right? She's giving her back more because what she's trying to do is to create the space to elbow the mat. Go ahead and do that. Hip switch. And switch and face me and shrimp, right? That's what she needs to do. But that's not going to happen because I'm going to keep pushing this tricep. I'm going to keep going here, right? Even with just my chest. And I still got two arms and I still got my legs to drive with. So you're going to have a super hard time getting out of that. Like you already messed up. Like what's his name says, Kurt Osiander. I used to say that. I didn't say the curse.
I thought you were talking about Aaron.
He UF'd a long time ago.
You done messed up, Aaron.
That's what that means. That's what that means. I've said that for the longest time. You messed up a long time ago. And that's the truth, right? I'm already here. You're in trouble. You let me get here, right? You let me get here, you're in trouble, right? So this, even worse. Somehow, you have to reverse this position. You have to get your butt way over here and face me, even though I'm putting pressure on the tricep and the back of the shoulder. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah,
So really, yeah, show the big movement you have to make. You have to do that, right?
Okay.
And all I did was push with my chest. Remember, I have my two arms, my feet are driving. So
A lot of work.
if I'm here, now try it. Okay. She can't do it, right? She can't do it. So your only other option is to go turtle, right? To go with the pressure. But turtle's not so good because now there's a lot of attacks I can do. But that's the game, right? We're trying to create mistakes for the other person to make. So if I'm here, it doesn't stop her from turtling, right? It doesn't stop that. The problem with that is I know that's the only way to go. So we're here, and you go to turtle, in, and take the
Just
back,
follow.
right? So you're stuck in a bad situation, but it's because you let that happen, right? Yeah, the higher belt, right? They're gonna do things. They're faster and they know more, but that's why you're there, right? Bottom line, that's why you're there. And if you can correct that, that's how you get to be a higher belt, right? Because you start to understand those things and you stop letting them happen. So it goes back to the beginning, right? So there's escapes for everything. Not that they're easy, right? Some are 1%ers, right, that you might get out. But, you know, because we don't want to say there's no escape from anything, right, from something. There's always an escape. But the more optimal escapes are preventing, right? Preventative. I'd rather prevent an issue from happening than have to take medicine for it, right? I'd rather have not got it in the first place. That's the best way to not get sick or to be healthy, is to prevent something rather than, okay, now I have this, how do I get rid of it, right? That's a lot harder to deal with, right? So once you're flat, it's the same thing. You need to bump, create the space for your hip, right? It's not as bad because your back's on the mat. If you're already sideways, right, then it's even easier because you're already sideways. You don't have to make big bumps or anything. But now, if you've given your back or you're trying to get away, right, this way, trying to pass, and you decide you're going to roll away, that's the worst, right? That's the worst. So that's what the newest people will do. They'll try to run away. Does that help? I know that's kind of, I don't want to start rambling, but the idea is to prevent the situation. Yes, you can get out once you're in it, but it's like the arm bar, right? If I use the arm bar example, like, how do I get out of an arm bar? Well, if you're going against a good guy, you don't, right? If my arm's locked out, you're holding my wrist, your legs are in the proper spot, everything's correct, I'm not getting out. I'm getting my elbow broke, right? But now, if I can prevent the arm bar way ahead of time, that's the best way to get out, right? That's the escape. So a hitchhiker escape is not going to work if the guy's good with arm bars. He's going to get it, right? But if you grab my tricep and I start defending the arm bar right there, I'm preventing the arm bar, right? That's the best way out. So same thing on this. This is a really bad situation. They almost have your back. Essentially, they have your back. And if you can prevent that from the beginning, that's the best way, right? And that's what it comes down to, is recognizing in that situation that they're about to pass, right? And I would say the hip line, once they secure something beyond your hip, you better start defending side control, right? Then it might turn back into guard replacement, right?
Sorry about that.
It could turn back into a guard replacement, right? That moment could be very small if your reactions are right? Because if I go to drop on a side control and she's already sideways, I don't consider myself passed yet. And I'm going to go mentally, I'm going to take half a step back and I'm going to start passing the guard again, right? Because the same thing in reverse. I'm not past the guard until I secure passage past the hip, right? Once I pass the hip, here, someone was explaining something, one of our students, I'll give credit, Adam. He got this, I'm sure, from one of his instructors, and it's a really good point that he made. We're trying to always control the area between the hip and the shoulders, her torso. I'm trying to control this, right? So if I'm trying to pass the guard and she turns sideways ahead of time and frames, I can't control that anymore. It's gone. I can only get to here, right? Go back. But once I've controlled here, she's in trouble. I controlled this middle area, right? She's good as passed. So if I haven't controlled that on a pass, then I'm still trying to pass, right? And if I haven't passed yet, I'm not getting your back either, right? Not in this scenario. So, hope that helps.
Good. No, it does. Absolutely makes perfect sense. And now that you're explaining it that way, and I know you've explained it like that, but not to that level of detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I try to keep it conceptual too, because we get into too many of the details of how he's controlling you and all this stuff. those things don't matter.
Don't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fundamental part of it.
Right.
What other positions? We did kind of all over the place, 50-50. We did kind of like a back prevention, side control. What else?
Okay. So yesterday when Lucas and I were rolling,
Okay.
I started reacting to the rear naked choke too late, and he rolled me to his choke side.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, I should have rotated my body to the weaker side, okay,
Right.
or the open side earlier. But now he rotated me in that position. Is there any way, not so much out of the choke, but any easier way to start to gain the momentum to go back in the other direction?
Yeah, it could be really hard. Rita? It can be really hard. I tend to try that first, and then if that doesn't work, I have some other options. So you have my back, and let's just do seatbelt. So one hand's always going to come over, and one hand's always going to go under for the seatbelt, right? And so I'll let go again. So when I get my back taken, I like to shrug my shoulders, and I raise my elbows. Because I know one's going to go under. I don't mind that. But one's going to go over and it's going to be more difficult. And look which hand is ready. Because usually it's the right hand. And if I have to switch, I switch. But usually I have my opposite hand ready to catch the right hand. So you got to take my back. See what happens? She put her hand right in my hand. Okay? And then this one I trap. So now I'm not getting choked right away. Right? Of course I tuck my chin. I do all that other stuff too. Okay. So now just hold seatbelt. Okay, so I want to go this way. I want to go here and get my back up. Once I get here, I should actually be a little more right there. But even the way I was, try to choke. And she can't choke there. So that's the goal. Right?
And in this case, you're putting your head on the mat.
That's collateral, right? The main thing is that my back is on the mat. My head is there because my back is there, right? I also, here, I don't want to lay back. I give her everything she needs, right? What I want to do is this. Lean forward. Try to choke.
I can.
Let go. Try. See, she loses everything, right? I lean forward. You don't want to lean back, all right? You already got it locked in. So I lean forward. She needs to lean forward too because of that reason, right? Why would you let go of control? You don't want to let go of control. So seatbelt. All right. So now she pulls me to the wrong side, right? Okay. Now, I need to make sure I don't get choked, so I'm defending this. So this hand's job is to hold the choke hand. But once I get two hands and I pull this down to the chest and I'm pinching on the other arm and I feel like I have the choke secure that she can't hurt me, I'm going to post my feet close to my butt and I can use my free hand to help push. It's like a post and it pushes. And I get my chest over her chest. Once I get here, now I like to switch hands, start falling to the side, and I throw my back to the mat. Right. Because if my back is on her chest, she's like this, trying to choke me. It's very difficult, right? Because I'm too far over. It's like trying to choke somebody that's taller. It's really, really difficult, right? Plus, all the weight on her chest and stuff, that shouldn't stop. Like just pressure shouldn't stop her. So that's the first thing I'll try. You okay? Yeah. That's the first thing I'll try. So the regular escape is I get to this side, I get my back to the mat. My back's on the mat, and also look, I put my shoulder in front of the shoulder. That also makes it more difficult for her to choke.
I have a little piece. Not good.
So then I hip out, right? And I use my feet to block the hook. Now, I feel like my butt's about to touch the mat, so I get this up and ready. It's going towards her armpit. Because if I get off her leg, she's going to come on top. She's about to already. So I go this way, get my hip on the mat, and I start and up in like a side control, right? So here.
Wait, let me put my side, my single toe.
Wait, let go. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Here. See what happens every time. 2 hands, pull it down, throw my back, like pull me to the wrong side. She pulls me.
I'm gonna lift you.
You don't have to lift me. You
Okay.
can't go ahead and rock. Right. So I load my feet, push, and switch. Right? Now I can start to escape. I'm on this side. All right. So that's assuming that works. Some guys are really good at keeping you on the wrong side, right? God bless. Look, every time. See what happens? Every time.
As soon as you put your hands, yeah.
To the wrong side. Now I'm stuck. I can't drive. She's really tight. Her core, I'm stretched out, and I can't get to the other side. So what I'm looking to do is, I call it the elbow escape. It's not to be confused with the elbow escape when you're trying to escape them out. What I'm trying to do is reach back, because I'm not going hard,
Okay.
and I pull her elbow like I'm pulling it like a shirt off of my head. And now my head's on the mat, right? Now I'm out, right? She can't armbar this. I'm laying on her leg, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this hand under her arm, and I'm going to start shrimping, shrimping, and we end up here again.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you guys could turn to where you could see what's happening?
Yep.
Up top? Yeah.
This way.
For that one especially, yeah. Go down there.
Okay. So I get pulled to the wrong side. She's doing it. Right? So it's going to be very difficult to try to pick this arm up and put it on the other side of my head.
Right.
What I do is I reach back with this hand, and I lift her elbow, and I slip my head out. Now I'm free. I'm not going to get my back's on the mat, right? And so now she's deciding what she's going to do. I like to grab a half guard, right? I want this hand under her armpit. But that might not happen. She's already grabbing it. So if this was the case, I'm going to chill right here. I'm going to slip my hip off, and if she doesn't get on top, then I will. So what are you going to do? You're going to get on top. And I catch a half guard. All right? On my side. She can get in space, so I'm going to get full guard. But if not, I get my underhook and I work my half guard.
Okay.
You don't have to get on top when you're escaping the back. We can do the original escape. The same thing. Look what I got. Okay, fall to this side. I got here. I can chill. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna get on top? I will. So what are you gonna do? She gets on top. I got my underhook and my half guard. Right? What's great about that? If I'm escaping the back, IBJJF and a lot of jiu-jitsu rules. A lot of tournaments. Almost all of them follow IBJJF, and then they change some of the rules. The rule is that if I'm escaping a submission, I don't score points, even if I end up on top. Why? Because I was escaping a position. I didn't do technique. I escaped, right? I wasn't attacking, I was defending. If you get half guard, and use the half guard to get on top, then you swept from half guard. So if I escape the back control and end up on top, no points. I just didn't get tapped. But if I escape the back control and gain half guard and use my half guard to sweep the person, then I will get points. That's the good thing about that. And so I'll usually do that rather than 50-50 or 60-40 chance that I get on top, right? I'd rather make sure I get some points and I can predict it more and less energy involved, right? I could just save my energy, get the half guard, and my half guard sweeps are good. I'm going to use that. So it's going to be your game, what you prefer. You might not want to be on the bottom for any situation, for any reason. You could just try to get on top, right? The reason you do it the way that I show is because if I get here and say, okay, she can't choke me now, I'm going to get on top. All she's got to do is follow me, and she's still on my back, right? If I try to spin inside her guard, it's not going to work unless they just let you do it, right? Because if I just spin here, okay, she let me. But if she has any type of control, even if I get rid of this hook, she's still behind me. So, and I see that all the time. I see that all the time. People just try to spin. Works on the new guys, but once people get that happen to them enough times, they're like, hey, how do I stand his back? And we teach them, and it doesn't work anymore. So then there's another situation that happens. I don't have to show it, but this. Yep. So what happens is you might use the second escape because of this. So I want her on this side, right? She pushes to the other side, and I just switch hands. And I just switch hands. And I keep switching hands on her. So that way she does, okay, sure, we got to the other side, but now I'm choking with that arm, right? So now you're on the wrong side again. And you're going through all this effort switching sides, and all they got to do is keep switching arms on you, right? You don't want to keep wasting your energy, so use the elbow escape, right? That way you can get out, and you don't have to waste all your energy and still maybe get choked.
Now that one, still, you can't wait till they start locking it in, though, correct? That one is still a preventative or no?
So, or another good question. So, let me choke you because your arms are on.
What do you want me to do?
I'm gonna get you.
No, you're not gonna get
Okay.
me.
So look here.
Take a nap.
So I go here. Right, let me do it. I go here. I pass my hand. Right. The way I teach, put your hand behind the head and go here. You didn't see me go like this. Right.
Right.
My palms away. You don't see me doing it that way. The reason, because when I reach out here, she grabs it, or even if it is over, she grabs it, grab it, hold it. I can't choke her with one arm.
Yes, you can.
No.
Yes, you can.
Remember, you tapped the thing. I can't choke her here with one arm. I mean, you could do it, right? It'll be a lot more difficult. You grab this person's arm, she could pull it against her own shoulder, right there, and she can get an elbow lock there, right? So this hand behind her head, that's the one she wants to grab. So if I'm here with I'm not even squeezing, my hand's behind your head. My hand's behind your head. All she got to do is reach back, grab my hand. Pull that off. See which one she's grabbing? The second one, not the first one. I might try to work with the first one, but it's harder, right? Now, lean forward, remember? Yeah. So now, that's why I put the back of my hand, right? And roll my fingers up. Now try to grab that hand. Can't find it. Another hand. She can't find it, right? So the back of your hand under the knot of the head, not the palm. It also twists your forearm around, right? This is natural submissions, not that. That's contorted, right? That's not strong.
Right.
Change something on here real quick. Okay, that's not strong. So you're not trying to push their head. You're just creating a frame against the back of their head, right? So this gets here, boom, right? Obviously, we don't want the first hand. It's like the collar choke. You don't want that first hand deep. She's not going to let this hand come through. She's going to defend it like I should. But if it comes through, she needs to stop this second hand.
Second hand.
Yep. And what she should do is pass it to the other side of her head. Now what do we have? She could try to elbow lock me, right? Hold on to it. Or she passes her back to the mat, and she already did the elbow escape, right? Boom, I start to come on top. Half guard, right? So that second hand of the rear naked choke, if it's locked in, that's the one you're hunting for. It's too loose than this one because this is securing it and making it tight, right? So stop it if you can. But once it's in deep and the hand's behind their shoulder or your shoulder, you better stop the second hand. Once you stop the second hand, start your escape. Right? Did that answer that?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So
I started
Coach,
to start the original question.
Coach, yeah, no, actually, that brings up a very good point. In other words, address the choke
At the point of that.
before you start work. Before you pass out. But address the choke before you start focusing so much on your escape. Correct?
Right. If you can't breathe, you can't.
Doesn't matter.
Your muscles don't have oxygen.
Right.
Your brain doesn't have oxygen, and you're not going to be able to do anything.
Right.
Now, that being said, if your position is good, they can't choke you anyway, right? So if I throw my back to the mat, they're not getting a rear naked choke on me, right? I've had Alex ask me, a guy was really good with, was it the arm bar? Alex, do you remember? Or no, it was the back. It was the back. Yeah, it was the back. He's like, hey, how do you stop the back? This guy's really good at choking me from the back. And then I had the guy try it on me, and I just focused on my position. I was trying to like make a point of how position's important, and I didn't do anything to defend the choke. He's like, well, you're not even defending the choke. I'm like, okay, so try to choke me, I told the guy. And from the beginning, right? Not just after I got in my position, but from the beginning. And if you get good at getting your back to the mat, they're not going to have time to choke you, right? And so the position is so important to the defense, not just grab. You don't get so grabby, right? People get grabby at things. I see them getting fingers because they're so desperate, right? If you can get the fundamental movements right, the little details, we've been talking about it, they're not as important, right? You want to get as many details as you can, but when it matters, the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals are the most important part. And then any little details you can remember, you add them, right?
Can I ask you, Coach, is this is that almost automatic once somebody gets to that position behind you, just to say, hey, you know what, this is my flow, throw your, you know?
Yeah. So let's say someone takes my back. Worst case scenario, I'm giving them the mount, right? Because then they can't choke me from the back, right? So remember one video we did the progression of jiu-jitsu. It started with standing, right, and eventually ended with the mount and then getting the back. So in theory, it's worse for them to have my back than the mount. So I can get rid of the back and give up the mount. Sure, they're going to get 4 more points, but theoretically, I'm in a better position.
You're in a better position, right?
I'm looking to improve my position and take away theirs, right? Prevent theirs. So if she has my back or he has my back, I could give him the mount. I'm not trying to give him the mount, right? I'm trying to get half guard. They want the mount. That's the fight there. once you escape the back, the fight is who's going to get on top. So I choose to give them top, but take half guard because I don't give up any points for that. And it's a lot easier for me to grab half guard than to fight them for the mount, right?
Right.
They're good at scrambling, and I don't have my position just right. I might not get the top, right? So I give my pawn so I can take something bigger from them, which is the mount, right? So I give them top, but I take mount away from them, right, by getting half guard with a good underhook and being sideways. Because why? I'm a step ahead. They're fighting me for mount, but I don't care about it, right? I don't care about getting on top. I'm looking for something else, something after their move. So I'm moving to the second thing while they're moving to the first, right? And now I have half guard, which means I can start my sweeps, puts them on the defensive, right? They thought they were going to have mount. Their plan was to do something from mount, but they're not in mount. They're in half guard, right? And so that's where I go there in that position. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like I said, I mean, just thinking back when we had class, so long ago, where, like I said, I'd get into that position and, that's all it was. It was this side, that side, fighting, and not understanding just to twist and,
so that's all.
Back on the mat.
Twist to the back. You're worried about the hand that's over your shoulder, right? One that's under, they could take it out and switch. So I pinch it. I hold it against my armpit. I keep the quarter in my armpit, right? And I'm pinching on that arm.
No, they can't use it.
Yeah. Now, well, they can. They could take it out. This is not as strong as that, right? They could yank their arm out. Well, guess what? I feel it. If I feel that arm coming out, this hand goes right here, and they give it to me, right? Now, I either put that back under, or I put the other one under. Now I have the opposite side, right? With this hand trapped, right? And so I just they switch on me, I switch on them. Now I'm going that way instead of that way, right? So
once you're on one of your sides, it's gonna be harder for them to switch arms. Yes or no?
Yes, because
because you're looking at trying to pull. You know what I mean? Like pull an arm out if you get to that side.
And their backs on the mat. There's no way I'm gonna choke them with the top one, right?
Right.
And I'm not gonna pull them over me either. That just won't work. Their hips are here. My hips are out. For me to get my hips under them, I'd have to be able to lift their entire torso to get underneath them, right? That's the only way I'm going to shift underneath them. So once they're back, and especially their hip is on the mat, my job's now, I'm no longer trying to take their back. I'm trying to get on top, right?
Right.
So they have to. And if they don't, then you saw with Rita, I just get on top, right? Oh, you're just going to lay there. I'll just get on top, right? I can lay there because I was already on bottom, right?
Right.
They can't. They need to get on top. Yep. So if they don't, then they're losing even more position because now I have half guard top probably instead of half guard bottom, right? So I don't get the points for the sweep, but I'm on top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
See what Alex is doing.
I'm just trying to do these. Oh no! Don't do that. Don't stop me.
Yeah. See there, he can't get choked. His hip is out. There's no way they're gonna get on top now. And now he has a mount set up, right? You can mount. You can leg lock. You can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Yo. No cursing.
Wasn't me. That time it wasn't me. Usually is, but it's not me.
And you were worried about drinking a Corona on the thing.
I just have one other question, and You all can take over after that. When do the Grappling Mastery online black belt shirts come in?
I hope they never do.
Yeah, they'll never. That probably won't happen.
Thank God for that. You know what's nice about this? The only thing that's nice about having this virtual class, speaking of belts, is that it postpones any chance of me getting my purple belt.
There was a guy. He was a blue belt. He was a blue belt. I don't know, the longest that I knew him. He was a blue belt for a long time. And every time, like, there was going to be a belt test, and he was supposed to be on it. He was. He was supposed to be on it. Every time, he would just disappear. No, he wouldn't tell us where he went, nothing. He just wouldn't be in class anymore. And like a month after the belt test, he'd come back and be like, "Where were you?" You know? And he's like, "Oh, I was hiking in the Adirondacks." And he literally was. He would go hiking in the Adirondacks. He'd take the Adirondack Trail, go hike all by himself, camp. You know, he'd spend a month.
But did he ever? That's
we're
curious.
like, we know you're trying to skip out on your blue belt or your purple belt, and he'd get this smirk because that's what he was doing. That's the reason that he would take the trips when he did.
But why would you do that? I don't understand that.
You never should have told me that story, Brian.
You're scheduling your trip to the Adirondacks.
What you want to do, Juan, is you want to get on YouTube, Google Brian Ruscio, and watch some of his grappling matches. Then you'll understand why you don't want to get to that purple. Because then you know what I mean? We feel like we're getting beat up. Those guys get beat up worse.
Oh, you have no idea what beat up is.
How do I?
You don't want to be a purple belt getting smashed by white belts.
That's one, right?
Oh, no, of course not.
That's one reason. Another reason is the responsibility. Like, people don't want to have to step up and maybe represent every single day that belt, right? Because it's a different level that is expected of you, right? So as a white belt, most people think that way. Like, what do you mean you don't want the blue? What do you mean you don't want the purple? Right? What do you mean you don't want the black belt yet? Is because from your perspective, you want them, right? You want those levels, but those levels represent your skill, right?
Yeah, no, and that's true. That what you just said is true as well, and in all of the martial arts systems.
Right.
Yeah.
So the closer you get to that skill level, the more you know, the more you realize what you don't know.
Right.
You're looking at, let's say you're a blue looking at purple now, right? You're a blue, you know the things a blue belt knows that you didn't know at white, and you're looking at purple and saying, wow, I'm about to be purple. But I know some really tough dudes at purple, right? And that means I'm their level? And you start asking yourself if you really want that, right? Now you're expected to be up to their standard, you know? And then you know some other tough dudes at blue, and they're not up for their purple yet. So you're thinking, wow, I'm going to be a purple, and these dudes are going to be tapping me at their lower belts, right? Yeah. So
and that's
those
true.
are the things that go through people's heads. Yeah,
you're right, and that goes when I was coming up through the ranks in Goju and Taekwondo. That was the same process, and I looked at it a little differently, though. You know, I looked at it a little differently.
Which is fine.
I wanted that challenge to,
right.
You know,
it's a different way of thinking about goals.
Yeah.
Like
I actually looked forward to that challenge.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. So, like, that was when Brian decided to do stripes after blue belt. At first, I was like, because I'm like a goal-oriented person. Like that's my career even. Like I have goals that I set for myself. But then it's a shift of goals. It's no longer, well, I want to strike. It's, I want to hit that move. Or I want to last.
Right.
I want to make sure I can beat all of the blue belts in here. Or I want to beat that one purple belt or whatever it is. You know, you're shifting the goalpost. And it's not any better. It's just a different way of thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of went about thinking about it. There's no longer, well, when I was a white belt, I wanted my stripes. And then when I got to blue belt, he took away the stripes and said, we're not doing stripes anymore. At first, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. And then I just shifted my priorities. And that worked out better for me anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those people that I accept the fact that no matter what belt I'm at, there's always going to be someone better than me
Oh, sure.
at that belt or even possibly lower. It's just, that's reality of life. That's just the way it is. You know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
there might be, you know, there's blue belts or blue belts that give black belts and purple belts a hard time
Oh, sure.
and give them a run.
And I would rather be one of those than a purple belt that's really not
Yeah,
there.
but you know, I accept the fact that we're going to encounter those kind of people every now and then, and that's just the way it is.
So
I just strive to be as bored as Brian is when he's grappling. He's so
Or Adam, he's holding a cold conversation about Nietzsche while he's rolling with him.
exactly. Thinking about what they're doing later on, you know, that weekend. Like, no, you almost had it, really. So anyway, we were gonna check out Kobe's this weekend. And...
I'm concentrating so hard on not getting heel and he's discussing like, you know, behind stage.
the belt comes, and Alex makes a good point about goal setting. So that when I took away the stripes from the colored belts, I don't know if you know that, but I only do the stripes on white belts, and then
you do now.
Blue and up, I don't do the stripes anymore.
No stripes.
I started doing that because, you know, stripes were becoming an issue, not at the colored belt level, but lower white belts. And I did that with blue and up. Once I knew that Jacare in Atlanta, that he doesn't do stripes on the colored belts, and there's a lot of high-level instructors don't do stripes on the colored belts. So when I got that confirmation that they're doing that or they're not doing it, right, I was like, that is a great idea. I looked at that as that was what was going to help me with my problem. My problem was it was a perspective issue, right? White belts that can tap, let's say a white belt with no stripes or one stripe, they could tap somebody with 3 stripes. They're like, hey, why am I not getting my second stripe? They got their 3rd stripe. I can tap them, right? And that's not how it is. That's not 100% how it is. That's a small part of how it is, right? The other people are a measuring stick for you because you can't grapple yourself, right? Everybody's on their own journey. And they're a measuring stick for you. You can find the person closest to you. That's what's great about a tournament. You can find the person closest to you, and that's your measuring stick, right? So in the gym, if we don't have someone exactly like us, then we got to measure against our teammates. It's not a competition against them, but they're our measuring stick, right? And so our goal is usually to try to tap our teammates, and their goal is to try to tap us. But then sometimes that becomes the end all, like, oh, because I can tap them, I should be a blue belt now, right? That means I'm better than 3 stripe. I'm 4 stripe or higher. And that's not true. Also, the focus obviously is on the stripe, right? Why am I not 4 stripes was the hypothetical question, right? So, well, that means you're thinking about the stripe, right? I'm not looking at necessarily that you beat them. How did you beat them? With the arm bar that you've been doing since day 1, right? So that's the only move you know. That's why you're 1 stripe, right? So you got to look at it in context. What's the stripe mean? The stripe means you're getting better at jiu-jitsu, right? If you can beat a blue belt with that same arm bar, that doesn't mean you're better at jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
You're just getting better at that arm bar. You know,
Right.
you're just getting better at that armbar. When I first started, so in wrestling, we have the head and arm pin, right? What's that look like, Arsenio? It looks like an arm triangle, right? You know what I said when I learned the arm triangle? I said, you're telling me that's a choke? All these years, I could have been choking people when I pinned them. And not saying names, but more than 1 or 2 black belts, more than that, I tapped with a head and arm choke as a white belt with no stripes. Does that mean I'm a black belt? No, not at all. It just means I'm really good at one technique, you know,
Right.
one that I happen to be doing my whole life, not even knowing it was a choke, right?
And fell ass backwards into it.
Right. So that's what I'm looking at, right? And so that was my issue, is an issue of perspective. People thinking just because they can beat a certain person that they're that belt. So what I did was I took stripes off the colored belts, not off their belts, right? I stopped giving stripes. People who had stripes,
So I ripped them all off.
yeah. No, people who had stripes kept their stripes, right? Until they were the next belt. And then, of course, there's no stripes. And that was the example to the lower belts that stripes didn't matter, right? So they're seeing these higher belts not caring about stripes. What are they caring about? Getting better, right? Because how are you going to go 2 years as a blue belt, right? That's the minimum requirement. 2 years as a blue belt, not getting a single stripe. What's motivating you? Not the stripe, not the belt.
Right.
That takes too long. It has to be getting better, right? And when you focus on getting better, you get better. What happens when you get better? You get promoted. You get stripes, you get belts, you get recognized for that improvement, right? You get medals at tournaments because you're actually getting better, right? Rather than focused on the stripe. When you focus on stripes, there's a little bit of pressure to give you a stripe early, and then you're getting beat because why? Because you're overranked, right? And it's no surprise to me that I hear the term sandbag so much. The reason you hear sandbag so much is not because people are sandbagging. Most people that I hear getting accused of being a sandbagger are not sandbaggers. And their coach is not sandbagging them either. It's that everybody else is overranked and they're getting beat by someone legit, right? They're getting beat by someone who is actually at their rank. And then they get surprised, like, oh, that guy must be a sandbagger. No, it's just you're getting promoted too early, too quick. So that's what I did with the stripes, you know, and that's why a lot of the mentality with my guys is different. They really, of course, they want the next higher belt, but they really don't. They're not. They want it, but when it comes, it comes. That's pretty much the attitude, you know. So that's pretty much the attitude. Because they're just trying to get better.
Yeah.
In the end,
it is pretty awesome to see.
In the end, we're all going to be black belts. You stick with it, you know.
Yeah. When I was watching your brown belt test, you know, seeing that we're actually doing that stuff at white belt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're doing the same moves. It's not like you know anything extra, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was just very interesting because I watched it. You know what I mean? I watched the whole thing. The cameraman sucked.
The cameraman, he dropped it partway through.
He's sitting there, yeah, exactly. His face on the mat.
I'm going to blame it on Bahama. I'm going to say he was the cameraman.
But it was very interesting to sit there and look at it and go, wait a minute, this is part of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, getting to brown, you know, and it's the only difference I feel is the transition. It was smoother and, you know what I mean? And you were able to execute it, you know, quicker, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it was very cool to see that because I'm sitting there going, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like this is high level, you know what I mean? High level stuff.
Yeah, so that's the way the belt test is kind of developed. Gracie Baja's was similar too, in that.
Right. Well, that's where you're.
Blue, that's where I started my belt test. I just took blue, the Gracie Baja belt test, and then I modified it. I actually added to it with I added some wrestling in there and things like that. But blue is like most of the moves that you're going to need to know. And then purple, brown, You know, we just add a little bit more. Black, we add a little bit more. And I start adding some teaching in there where you got to teach some of the moves. You got to explain some of the moves. And because black is a teaching belt, right? So it starts to turn into that. And yeah, that's all it really is. What you picked up on is it's just going to get smoother. It's going to get faster. The strategy is going to be better, right? There's more double attacks and triple attacks on the higher belts. So the moves are the same, but we're learning how to combine them better, right?
Right.
That's really what the other belts are, you know? And so that's why I say, you know, if you stick with it long enough, you know, not everybody at the same speed, but we're all going to be black belts, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time. And so
Well, I'll tell you, like for me, like
we
what
never stop learning. I still get better, you know?
No,
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I know that, you know, Doc and Jen, you know what I mean? When they, you know, continually go over the blue belt test, like,
Yep. They
that's
go over
something that I think, you know what I mean, I'd definitely like to implement, you know what I mean, going in there and just doing that,
yeah.
you know, taking a section every week.
And they'll
or
work with
whatever.
you. They've said it, you know, they'll work with
Yeah.
people that want to go over it because that's helping them, right? The teaching helps them. And they know that's what's going to make them better. And they want everybody else better too. The better that we all get, the better we help each other get, right? It's that iron sharpens iron, that whole thing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So for me
That makes sense.
For me to practice my more advanced techniques, I need you guys to be able to defend the lower levels of that, right? So that will evolve into more advanced part. If I can just do the normal arm bar, then I'm never going to get to the next stage because you're not defending it yet, right?
Right.
So I said on a previous video, actually yesterday, it was that I pretty much do the same little sequence over and over and over until people start figuring it out. Then they start defending it. Now I can start to change it, right? So we kind of went over that. But then that happens with everybody's game, right? So you're gonna have 3 moves that you're really good at in the beginning, and then and I have a continuation of my story that I was talking about, the arm triangle. But you're gonna have 3 moves that you're really good at in the beginning. People are gonna start to figure out, hey, these are Arsenio's moves. Here's how you stop it. They learn how to stop it, then start branching out, right? That's how you're gonna start expanding your game. So the story with the arm triangle was, so I'm a white belt. I'm downtown location in Gracie Baja, and I take somebody down, and the black belt there, he goes, no. I'm like, huh? Like, did I do something wrong? He's like, no. I'm like, no what? Don't do it. Like, don't do what? And I'm like thinking, what's he telling me no about, right? But I did my takedown's fine. Like, I'm going to pass his guard, and then I'm going to arm triangle. You don't want me to arm triangle? He goes, no, don't arm triangle. I'm like, how'd you know? Oh, because I do it every time. So he was already like, in the very beginning, he must have seen me arm triangle enough people to tell me don't do that anymore. He wanted me to expand, right? Get better. Because if I got stuck just tapping everybody with an arm triangle, I wouldn't have the game I have today, right? Because I would have just double leg people, pass their guard, arm triangle. 3 moves, done. Right? Because I was already really good at it, right? If I tapped the black belt at that point, I'm not going to get better. I'm just going to keep doing that. But because he looked at me sternly and said no, and I had to like take it back and think like, why is he telling me no? Okay, yeah, that's the best thing for me because I'm going to keep doing that. Let me learn more jiu-jitsu, right? And so that's the funny story with the arm triangle. So nowadays, you don't see me do too many arm triangles. You know? I mean, I showed it in my sequence because that's effective. That's what I do. If I was in a competition, that's what I'm going to go for. But if I'm just training, I'm trying not to do arm triangles, right? I'm trying to do – so that belt test you were talking about, what you want to do is you want to rank all the moves on there, right? You don't look at blue belt. Look at each move and say, what belt am I at this move, right?
Right.
Blue means you can tap a blue belt pretty much every single time you try it. Or you can do the move. Maybe it's a scissor sweep. I can scissor sweep a blue belt every time I try the scissor sweep. But I can't do that, right? And so that's how you rank it. So, okay, I'm a blue belt at that move. Now, if I try to armbar a blue belt, not going to work. I can barely get a white belt. So I'm like bottom level white belt, no stripes at armbar, right? And you're going to rank every move. And then your goal is to become a blue belt at every single move on the blue belt test. And if you can do that, trust me, you probably already got your blue belt from me, right?
Right.
Because you're improving, you're getting better, you're tapping or doing these moves by choice on blue belts already, right?
Right.
And people are probably asking you how you do it, right? And you're able to teach it because you know it well. And then
that's,
same thing
that's
purple,
exactly where I'm at. I mean,
brown.
just, you know, looking at the list, and I know I joke about this, but like, I literally don't know how to pronounce, you know what I mean? If I can't pronounce the throws, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want to recognize, like, it sounds silly, like knowing how to say a sotogari doesn't mean you can do it good. But if you don't know what a sotogari is, good luck learning
exactly.
it.
Right, exactly. And that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I said, for
Arsenio, where are you finding the blue belt test list?
that's for Grappling Mastery members only. It's password.
So there's a link. It used to be on the website. It's still on the website, but it's kind of hidden. Do you have the link, Arsenio?
I'm on the website.
I have it.
Yeah,
I have it. Actually, what I can do is I can actually, with your permission, Brian, is I could just send him, because what I did is I cut it, copied it, and I put it in notes.
Yeah, you could do that.
So that way I have it on my phone.
But you have it. You said you have it in the.
It's part of the web. It's part of the website, but it's not on the menu. And if I say how to get there right here, then anybody that watches the video in the future will be able to get it.
I hear you. Okay.
So we have links, pictures.
You have my phone number.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll send it to you.
What I'll do is I'll send you that copy, because like I said, I cut it and pasted it.
It's no secret, right? Any good instructor is going to know what their guys should know at blue belt, right? So it's no secret, but the ones that aren't good, and we know who they are, will definitely try to take that material from me. And I did work pretty hard on it, you know?
All right.
So
Arsenio, is your number the 848 number?
Correct. Yep.
And eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate all those moves into our new membership software. And the software knows you're a member. It's going to be much easier to access it. And it's going to tell you what moves that you need to know for the next level. I'm going to link in videos to it. It's a huge project, but once that happens, it's going to be so easy for you guys.
And how far along are you on that project there, Brian? We've been in quarantine.
Oh, I know, right? So I've been working on a different project, actually. So I haven't been able to get into that. Yeah. No, not from that. I spent all day at the gym today, actually.
He's in the creative stage.
Yeah, I've been creating, videoing, and yeah.